growing up in my grandfather's house, and that was my maternal grandfather. But Salvador Allende remained close to my mother. And so I grew up, I wouldn't say very close to him, but close enough. Later, when he became president, he appointed my stepfather ambassador to Argentina. And the flight is only 1 hour between Buenos Aires and Santiago, so he would come to Santiago once every 2 months, more or less, to report to the government directly. It was a very difficult time. I mean, Allende's government was very, very difficult. And when he would come, then we would have family reunions, and I got to be with him closer, and I got to know him better. He was a very charismatic man who had all his life the same idea, and it never varied. And the idea was to have a socialist government within a democracy, which today we have in Europe everywhere. But at the time, the idea of socialist democracy didn't exist. Chile was the first country to elect democratically a socialist Marxist president. And that divided the country immediately, and there was a terrible opposition. The CIA got involved, and eventually 3 years later, there was a military coup supported by the CIA, and we had a military government for almost 17 years in Chile. Allende died the day of the military coup. Now, what influence he had in my life? I think that he had an influence in the lives of millions of Chileans who saw their lives changed. You have here so many Cubans that had to leave their country, or their parents had to leave their countries because they couldn't live in the government that Cuba has today. That happened in Chile also when we had a military dictatorship. So those people's lives were completely transformed, and some for the better, and some for the worse. There were many people who were tortured and died, but other people made lives abroad, as I did. And I wouldn't be a writer today without what happened that day. And I was because I belong to Allende's family, I think that the impact of what happened was very profound. It marked me very deeply. Although I was not a direct victim, I was never tortured and I was never arrested. I got out of the country. Well, you're a wonderful audience, and thank you so much. Thank you.